The Jungle Creed. Who gives a fuck is one of the first questions a kid will ask himself growing up in the ghetto. He'll look around at all the broken down buildings and shabby projects, the cracked schoolyard playgrounds, and it doesn't look like anybody gives a fuck. He'll watch mean motherfuckers in patrol cars rolling around the neighborhood, and they won't give a fuck. Everybody he sees is just trying to survive. They are just trying to make it to another day. To understand where the rage and defiance comes from in the inner cities, you have to understand the attitudes of the people when they're down. Even a strong-willed kid will have a difficult time giving a fuck when everywhere he looks, the cops, the schools, and the people outside the ghetto reinforce his feelings of helplessness. When you're down in that hole, you have a real different view of what's right and wrong. In the ghetto, the police are the dog catchers. Once they've got you in their nets, you have no way out. So when you see them, you're immediately scared, because if they're the dog catchers, then you're the dog. So you hide from them, you bite them, you shoot them, but don't even think you're going to have a conversation with them. Through the history of America, the police has never been a friend of black people. When we came here on the slave ships, the police were the people with the whips, the ones who got paid to keep us in line. They were the guards at every plantation who hunted us down when we ran away and humiliated us in the stocks once they found us. There's never been a black leader in the history of America who's been a friend of the police. No black leader ever said, honor the cops, unless they were a cop. So when teachers or politicians tell the black kids to respect the police, the kids are thinking, why? Where do I get that from? Where's my role model? You have to analyze the law enforcement's treatment of black people. Before anybody's ever going to respect the police, they have to respect the judicial system first. You have to believe it isn't a big vacuum cleaner that sweeps you up. You have to understand that the judicial system is a no-win situation with minorities. When you're coming out of the ghetto, you learn the cops aren't your friend, and you quickly realize they are the enemy. Very seldom do you see them come and do anything outside of pulling people out of the ghetto for something. You always see them picking up brothers. Cops don't walk up to people in the ghetto, especially members of Los Angeles Police Department, and say, hi, how you doing? The first time a cop ever treated me like a human being was when I got a gig rapping in the film Breaking'. But before that, the only time I ever saw them was when they were coming after somebody. In poor environments, there's a lot of crime because people are so desperate. The criminal mentality is reinforced by the way police in the ghetto treat you. When you're down there and you got cops cruising around looking at you like you're already guilty, it just multiplies your feelings of worthlessness. Anybody in the ghetto can tell you the cops aren't there to protect and serve them. You don't have to wait to hear about it. You learn about it by experience. One night, my buddy's mother called the police because her car radio had gotten stolen. My buddies and I were standing in front of her house, and the cops pulled up on the front lawn. They got out of the patrol car and screamed at us to spread out in the grass. His mom came running out of the house crying, "That's my son." The cops waved their guns at her and told her to shut up, go in the house. They searched us, shook us down, and asked us if we were in a gang, and then told us to leave. After we scattered, they went up to the front door and listened to her story. She explained that somebody had broken into her car and stolen her radio. The cops told her, it probably was one of your sons. They look like they're on drugs. You know this is the neighborhood. There was no report, no reassurance, no nothing. They were basically saying to her, don't call us around here for no car radio. I'll never forget that incident. I kept thinking, what are the fucking police here for? After a while, you see them and you just wonder, what are they going to do with me now? In Los Angeles, the LAPD has little tricks up their sleeve to get you into their system. Their key specialty is the Los Angeles jaywalking traffic ticket warrant. You can be the squarest kid on the street, but then you'll get a jaywalking or a traffic ticket you can't afford to pay. Now, how are you going to get $250 to pay a ticket that can immediately turn into a bench warrant? So the next time they stop you, they catch you with this warrant and you go to jail. This turns kids who ain't done nothing into criminals. Immediately, they snatch you up into their system. In my old neighborhood, the LAPD's objective was to pop every kid on the street. If you live in a different neighborhood, maybe this tactic wouldn't be so detrimental. Maybe your mother might have $250 to pay the ticket, and it might be nothing. But you gotta remember, a lot of people in the ghetto might pay $250 for rent. And if your mom's on welfare, you'll be living off of $8,000 a year or less. And that's not all cash, that's food stamps too. So just try to understand that something as simple as a parking ticket can send you under. It's widely known that cops use this tool to get you into their books and their systems. Until you get a ticket, until they mess with you, they don't have any adult fingerprints on you. Sometimes cops will even take you to jail and print you because you fit a description. That's a commonly used phrase that basically means they can fuck with you. You might be walking down the street and before you know it, you're getting printed. They're on a mission in the ghetto to print the entire neighborhood. They make you out as a criminal before you even know what's going on. Eventually, they're going to book everybody for something and get you into that jail system. The treatment of the people in the hood by the LAPD contributes to your feelings of inferiority. The people who are in this position down there feel like they are unwelcome anywhere else. If you're driving through Bel Air and you're stopped by the LAPD, they'll look at your zip code or run your license number through their computers to determine where you're living. If you're living in 96 in Western, you're here, get out, lay down. If your zip code shows Beverly Hills, then it's a totally different routine. The people in the hood get treated in a way that nobody else gets treated. Since 1986, 47,000 cases of police brutality were filed with the U.S. Justice Department and only 60 of the attackers were prosecuted. If nothing else, you don't like it when you see a cop coming, but until you live in the ghetto, you just can't understand. Early on, the kids growing up in the inner cities learn in school there ain't no reason to go to college because you ain't getting a decent job anyway. I don't know where that comes from, but it's there. And when you're there, it deeply affects you. It may be a big hoax, but you never forget it. The successful people you see in the ghetto are the drug dealers, the pimps, the brothers driving around in flashy cars. Your role models are these fly guys you see because everybody else is struggling. The hustlers look like they got it on. You don't really see them do dirt. You just see the accumulation of wealth, and it's more than you got, so you're attracted to them and their lifestyle. The only reason you see drug dealers always driving through the streets is they have to get paid. Most of them don't live there anymore, but you have to come back to the neighborhood to make that money. They leave there because they can't stay down there in an environment where the people know who's got the money and who doesn't. In the ghetto, you're constantly living in a survivalist atmosphere. All these people are on top of each other, pushing and scrambling, all in an attempt to get out of this hole. Everyone is trying to survive, and in this microcosm of people, you might see a guy who appears a little richer, but basically, everybody's broke. It's difficult to teach basic moral principles like charity, loaning, and trust. The environment is also poisoned with drugs, so a lot of people there ain't really even themselves. In the jungle, masculinity is the premium. Anybody weaker than the next man will be victimized by the stronger. You learn early on, like in grade school, if I'm weak and you're strong, when I buy my ice cream sandwich, you're going to reach over and break off half. That's how you live and you get used to it. It's the animal instinct. The white knight is not the hero. Displays of strength and aggression are prized because you're always walking like a prison inmate. In the hood, violence and even murder becomes something honorable. The more violent person, the more defiant person will get the highest ranking. The person who pushes it to the limit and is willing to go to jail earns the most props because he's willing to put his life on the line and fight for what he believes in. Once you're down there, you've got this walk, this attitude that says, don't fuck with me. You don't understand anybody who is weak. You look at gay people as prey. There isn't anybody in the ghetto teaching you that people's sexual preferences are predisposed. You're just ignorant. You got to get educated. You got to get out of that jail called the ghetto to really begin to understand. All you see is a sissy, a soft dude, a punk. That's how it is when you're down there. Everybody walks around looking at each other crazy. That's why you find girls who live in the neighborhood are so tough. I don't care how pretty they are. Each one of them has a real strong side to her just to survive. You may wonder why black kids wash their sneakers, because that's all they got. This is how they're being judged among their peers. They're being judged by what model sneakers they got or by their little gold chains. If you're going home to a project and you don't own anything, and neither does the next guy, you take pride in your gold chain. Your whole self-esteem is based on making something special out of the little you might have. You get respect by how you dress and how you carry yourself. When we see white kids or rich kids dressed like bums, we never understand it. Why in the fuck are you trying to look like that? We're over here pressing our fucking jeans every day. And it may be the only one pair of jeans we got. I've come to believe